Hello, I'm Fernando Sosa, and you're watching Mindset of Steel live show. In this show, we encourage you to crush your limiting beliefs, punch fear in the face, and take massive action in your business and your personal life by focusing on the 80% psychology and 20% strategies. I'm excited here. This is episode number 28 of our weekly show. And we have a special guest coming up in a moment. And today's episode, we're going to talk about surviving PTSD. And our guest, Ron Blake, is going to share with us his journey to the live show with Stephen Colbert. Very interesting here. Now, one thing I wanted to share with you is that today's episode, it's a kind of like a continuation. Let me lower the volume here. A continuation of everything that we talked about in the past episode of having a mindset of steel, having a mental attitude to move forward, to push forward, to crush your limiting beliefs. And we're going to get into that, and we're going to learn a lot from our guests coming up. Now, before we get started, I just wanted to welcome you again. If you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to click on the subscribe button. And you might as well click on the notification icon so you can be notified when we go live. And if you want to be part of our free community, we have a free community. We have a private Facebook group where we post some content there, and we have some events going on that we have planned. It's inside a private Facebook group. So if you want to go to mindsetofsteel.com, and you can be part of the free community, just go ahead and join us there. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, please go ahead and leave us a review or comment in one of our episodes. Let us know that you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts. We're also available on Spotify and other podcasting platforms. So what else we have? Yes, our website. There's some content there. We updated. We did a little refresh on the website, so check it out. And we have a calendar also there, so you can see our future upcoming episodes and other events. And so, as I was saying, today's episode, I want to talk a little bit before we get onto the main topic about perseverance, persistence, and consistency. This is episode number 28 of our weekly show, and being live every week for the past 6 months has been quite a journey for me. And it seems like it's nothing, but you see us every week, but from week to week, Wednesday to Wednesday, a lot happens. A lot happens in my, in business, at work, at home, personal business. A lot happens. And to keep doing something consistently takes a lot of effort. You know that, right? And sometimes you might see something that is happening on a consistent basis from outside, and you might not notice. You're saying, oh yeah, that happens every such and such. But in order to maintain consistency, it takes a lot of perseverance and grit to keep on going, because feelings come and go, and you might not feel like doing something. But I'm here every week because I made a decision to be here every week. And that doesn't mean that I want to be here every week, but it doesn't mean that I feel like it every single week, right? It depends how the day goes. So it's important, I think, that to keep that in mind, that a lot of things we may make a decision on doing something, but we may put it off because we don't feel like doing it in a particular time. But you have to kind of push through, and then you be consistent, and you're gonna appreciate that you did that. So I appreciate just looking back how this show started, and we're on week number 28. And when it rains, it pours, right? But life goes on. Life goes on. That when it rains, eventually the rain will finish. Will stop. Another example, you would say, like, let's say, for example, if you have the unfortunate event that you lose your income. Well, you lose your income, the bills still keep on coming, right? Life goes on. So you got to kind of make it up, and because those bills are going to keep coming, right? The show must go on, and it does. Another example, like, for example, if you experience the death of a family or friends, you grieve for a period of time, But you know what? Life goes on. And that, I realized that when a close member, a family member passed, a very sad moment. Everybody's grieving. But you know what? If I go on Facebook, people are still posting cat videos. There's still comedy in the world. Life goes on. Now it's difficult for for you to go on, to move on when something tragic happens in your life. That's a given, right? It's very difficult. But the truth is that life goes on, and we have to find ways to push through. And in the middle of adversity, just keep on going on. The grieving process is temporary, and then depending on how you treat how your mindset is, things will get easier every single day. So, unfortunately, people experience traumatic events in their lives, and it could be very difficult to recover and move on. So not everybody responds the same way. And, sometimes people make a permanent decision for something that is a temporary problem. And according to the CDC, suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States. 10% of non-military people with PTSD have made suicide attempts since their trauma. So how do you move on? Now, today, as I said, our guest, Ron, he's going to be sharing with us his way of battling PTSD. And it's a very unique way that I think you'll enjoy. So before I introduce Ron, let me just tell you a little bit about him. For close to 2,000 consecutive 8-hour days, Ron has walked up to and engaged with a multitude of total strangers, one by one, in the most unusual and incredible cross-country journey of recovery and hope. He definitely punched fear in the face in each of those occasions. And he shared in a TEDx talk that just over the other side of fear is where all the magic happens. So he's joining us tonight live from Phoenix, Arizona. So let's go ahead and welcome Ron. Welcome, Ron.
Hey, Fernando. Good to talk to you finally. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Happy to share with everybody.
Good. Thank you for being here, Ron. Ron, I checked you out online, and I saw all your Facebook page and all your travels and all the boards that you have, and I want you to share with us that in a moment. And I'm very, very thankful that you're here to share your story. And I know that anyone watching and listening to us will be inspired by your story and encouraged to carry on in the face of adversity. Like I said, traumatic events happen in different shapes and forms to different people. And you're an example of how it's possible to recover or to move on, not necessarily be cured, but move on. And I'll let you kind of jump in. And can you share with us a little bit of your backstory of why you're doing this journey?
Sure. And I always tell people I have to start with the bad stuff. Like, I got to get that out of the way first, just because I wouldn't be doing this journey if it wasn't for the bad stuff. And the journey's been the amazing part of it. It's been very challenging, but about 10 years ago, it was 9 years ago, I was in bed sleeping. I was in my 7th floor loft in downtown Phoenix, and I woke up. There were 3 men that came in. I was held down. I was raped. The guys did horrific stuff to me that night. Sadly, one of those people had been my partner of almost a decade. They were drunk. It doesn't excuse it. But it was a horrific moment for me. There were a lot of police that showed up. A lot of people helped me. But sadly, what had happened is I didn't talk about that. I struggled for years to deal with that trauma. And it manifested itself in anger and isolation for me. And then finally, I'll fast forward, but there was a night on November 2nd of 2015, I was wiped out. I mean, some people are going to be able to relate to this, because when you struggle with a mental illness, when you struggle with PTSD, it's hard to really, it's really hard even to this day to put it into words. But that night in November 2015, I woke up, that nightmare. As I woke up, I couldn't tell the difference between initially my reality, which was the world I was in, and my nightmare. I was confused as to whether or not I was awake. And then when I realized I'm still awake, now I woke up, and it's like, this is just, it's a living hell. And so I remember I got the pills out and I thought, I have to stop this. And I was ready to go, because I just didn't want to keep doing it day after day after day. And for some reason, the TV was on. It shouldn't have been on. I set the timer. Every night I'd set the timer. And for the weirdest reason, it didn't go off. I have no idea why. But I looked at the television for a moment, and there was this show. It's called The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. It's a late night comedy show. And I looked up, and something on it made me laugh. And it was that moment of laughter. I paused the show. And I know reporters have asked me over and over and over, what was the joke that made you laugh? And I don't know what it was. And that really confuses people. Like, how could you not, like, this is the moment of hope that saved your life. That wasn't the important part. It was that I recognized something good was still coming out of me. I could actually still laugh. And that's what stopped me from taking my life. And that moment of hope, that esperanza I had, I just said, I'm getting on this show. I don't know how I'm going to get on this show, but I felt like this surge of hope that I could still do something. And I just said, someday I'm going to sit in that chair next to Stephen Colbert, and I'm going to tell my story, and I'm going to keep going. And that's how it all began. Everybody wants to know, what was the aha moment? That was it. And that's what set me on this. Like, it's a hard show to get on, because I'm not a celebrity. I'm not rich. I'm just doing it my way. And so it's been almost 2,000 consecutive days in a row. I've never missed a day. I've engaged with people. I'm trying to figure out how to get on the show, but so many, and everybody will tell you, like, it's not the destination, it's the journey. And Fernando, truly and honestly, this is what it's become. This journey has actually taught me so much. Well, you're part of it, Fernando, this journey now with me. And so, I'm not getting on the Late Show, but I get to engage with you and your listeners. And that, to me, that's perfectly fine right now. I'm happy that you guys are letting me share this today. So thank you.
Absolutely. And yeah, I agree 100%. The journey is what's most important. And we've talked about that in previous episode. You don't know when the journey ends, but you're going to have fun in the journey, enjoy the journey. And you may or may not get to that destination, but that's a goal. And right. You're definitely consistent, and I can see you there. I can definitely see you there. It's just not a matter of how or what. It's a matter of when. It's not an if, it's a when.
I agree. I said I wouldn't keep doing this if I didn't think I could get there. There were people even recently. I did an Instagram video. I do a lot of Instagram videos to just keep in touch with everybody, let them know how the journey's going. Sort of like, I always said it was like FDR's fireside chats. We live in a world where everybody's yelling and screaming and fighting, and we're polarized. And I just said, you know what, if you want to come to like the Blake Late Show on Instagram, I said, I'm going to make it a safe space where you can come. It'll be supportive, but it'll be just like these fireside chats where I'm just giving you updates on how I'm trying to get on the show. Because I don't want to get into that negativity, but yeah. So for me, I do feel like I told somebody my focus is to get on the show, because some folks have said, well, what if you don't get on the show? Well, if I start focusing on that I'm not going to get on the show, then I've already set that in stone that I'm not going to get on this show. So every day I wake up, I just say, figure out a way that you'll get a step closer. And as long as I'm sharing this story, like right now with you, Fernando, like I'm sharing it with you. So it's heading in the direction, because the more you put your story out there, the greater your likelihood is you're going to get to where you want to go. So that's what I do every day. I keep putting my story out there.
Absolutely. And the destination is temporary too. Like once you get to the Stephen Colbert show, for what, 5-10 minutes, but you have all these years of the journey, right? That is much more is happening in this long, this journey that you have than the time that you're going to spend there, but it's going to be fulfilling, and you're definitely going to get there. So let me ask you a question, Ron. So you've been clinically diagnosed with PTSD, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so this journey that you've taken has it been sort of therapeutic for you?
Oh yeah. I mean, this has been, I meet a lot of psychiatrists and psychologists, counselors, social workers on the journey. And sometimes they can't see, sometimes they can't see the forest because of the trees. And they said, well, you're doing this journey, but what are you doing to help yourself get through PTSD and depression? And I guess they're missing the whole point of this. Like, this journey is my therapy. It might be unique. I think that's why the people nominated me to do a TEDx talk on this, because it's different. Like in the TEDx talk, I actually talk about a psychiatrist I was seeing. He thought this was the craziest thing in the world. He talked to me like I was a little kid. And he said, you do know people like you don't get on TV shows like this. And I said, no, I don't know that. And he wanted to medicate me right then and there. He thought I was delusional. He wanted to medicate me. And in the TEDx talk, I said, could you imagine if we would have medicated Steve Jobs 20 years ago, or Elon Musk, because he has these ideas to go to Mars? I mean, just because somebody has a radically different idea of something that's maybe helping people, like what I was doing, it wasn't just helping me, it was helping a lot of other people I met. And this guy wants to medicate me and take that away from me. So there are some, and I'll say some psychiatrists, psychologists, counselors, people in those fields that need to just take a step back and say, we're not the only thing that works. There are other things out there that works. And if there's one important message I could tell everybody listening right now, one size does not fit all. And so for me, this is working tremendously. It doesn't mean that I don't go to psychologists and counselors. I do. I go for checkups and when I need it. But predominantly, this has been my therapy because it allowed me to learn how to tell my story, to process the trauma. And it allowed me, when I'm being vulnerable, people started being vulnerable back with me. And so that was the amazing part of it. And I feel a sense of accomplishment every single day. Even though I don't get on the Late Show, not yet, I've created now 4,000 square feet of social practice artwork. And Fernando, I'm proud to say, like right now, about 2 months ago, I was selected as a finalist for a grant with the National Endowment for the Arts. It's not a done deal, but if I get that, I'll find out in 2 weeks. I mean, that's pretty incredible. Like take a guy like me, I wasn't a big artist like that. And now I'm being considered for a big grant because of what I produce with all these tens of thousands of people. So you're right. You're right, Fernando. The journey, a lot of amazing things can happen along the way to that destination.
Yeah, and this is a testament as well that sometimes when we have an idea and we know what we want to do and we have a why we want to do it, but we don't necessarily know how we're going to do it. And I think that a lot of people stop doing something because they get stuck in the how, because they don't know how to do it. And in your case, you just had that thought, you had your why, and the journey has been long, and the how basically develops over a period of time. Now you're being, you're going to get a grant. You're going to get that grant. All these things are opening up to you that you didn't know at the beginning how. And there's other things that is going to happen. And I think that's a if you keep the positive mindset, you're going to attract these things that are going to help you. So I think that's amazing. And so I think it's amazing that it's helped you therapeutically to battle this PTSD. And so how exactly, so has it helped you physically? Like, because I know certain people, medicine is needed for some people just to help you get to a certain point, right? And I think that, to your point, sometimes I think it's easy to get stuck with just medicine as a solution and not look at other alternative things, like the activities that you're doing that is keeping you busy and keeping your spirits up. And the body itself creates a whole bunch of chemicals that you might need to buy these chemicals as drugs to combat certain diseases, right? And the body itself can produce a lot of these things that to some extent. And I think that what you're doing, like you said, it's helping you in some way with your outlook. So you've experienced these medications. Have you been on prescribed drugs of like when you first got diagnosed?
There were a couple, and I didn't like them. I mean, again, that's me. And each person has to make a decision with your team, whether that's a doctor, a counselor, whoever. But I made the decision that I was pulling off those meds. It was making me like a zombie, and I honestly didn't want to go out and engage people like I had been doing. So I just said, you know what, I'm not doing this. The engagement with all the people I was meeting, that was enough for me, because I eventually started sleeping better. The nightmares started minimizing. And I think it's because, honestly, I was talking about the trauma and I was learning how to process it, every single person I met. So I did pull away from the meds. I tried the medicinal marijuana. It's just, I wanted to be off of all meds if I could. And now I am. There's only one medication I take, and but that's not for PTSD or depression. But I'm really proud of myself. And I had to pull off of, I was on prescription sleeping pills and became dependent on those. That was a nightmare for me in and of itself. So I think it's been 3.5 years I've been off of all those pills, maybe even longer. So I'm really happy. For me, they weren't working. And so again, everybody's got to make that decision about what works for you. This works for me. This project and this odyssey I'm on, that's what's working.